kind of like a, I think people like Mike because I'm kind of a unique kind of character.
And I have
You just see how games and possessions are more intense, how they mean more. I think the U.S. is going to obviously win.
Hello and welcome to Nothing But Respect. My name is Harry Krinsky. I had the LeBron over on rebounds last night and told him to get the 10th rebound. I am joined not by Patrick Redford, who is ill, but by Rohan Nadkarni, who is going to be on the pod as a guest, but then bravely stepped up to co-host in Patrick's absence. Rohan, thank you for coming on the show, and how are we doing?
I'm great, but isn't this like, how many episodes have you done, like 3 or 4?
We've done, we had a few like kind of test episodes that we've done, so we've done a bunch of episodes, but this is like the 5th live actual
okay,
pod.
Because I was gonna say, like, you can make a case that I am the co-host. Like,
That's true.
Has Patrick done enough of them to be, and he's already out? It's interesting to me personally.
No, I mean, much like Joel Embiid, there is something to be said about like if you get sick or injured, you don't want it enough, and that's like a reflective of a larger lack of commitment.
I was just raised like the best ability is availability, but some people aren't built like that. So
we'll see. I mean, obviously, if this goes well, if this even does one view more than one listen more than and one of the ones we've done with Patrick, he will be the guest on our next episode. So, but no, thank you for joining. And you have recently moved from strictly the world of hoops to expand your horizon to. You are now I should have said this at the top, but a sports reporter at NBC. What's that like? What's the shift from basketball to all sports been like?
It's weird. It's really weird to not have my entire life schedule revolved around basketball games every night. It's definitely been fun. It's part of me is like bummed I feel like I'm not as in on basketball things as much as I used to be. Like, obviously I'm still reading a bunch of stuff. I haven't even heard of that guy or this rookie. It's mostly rookies. I'm like, who's this guy?
Right.
Bub
Carrington.
That stuff. But what's that?
Who's Bub Carrington?
Yeah, like Bub Carrington. Stefan Castle. I was reading about like Stone. I'm like, who? It's Snoop Dogg gift. But it's been fun, man. I will say that I've always loved football, and it's like that's like the real drug for me. Like, I got to make sure I don't get hooked on it. And the Dolphins were good for the last couple years, or at least had an exciting offense, and that has subsequently ruined my life because they've been terrible this year. So it was like I didn't need an excuse to get more in on the NFL. Now that I have to write about it, I'm in too deep, and I need help getting out.
And does it expand to more sports? Like, could you conceivably write about like fencing or those kinds of things?
Absolutely. I mean, during the Olympics, they were like, all right, like you're on women's rugby sevens today. And I'm like, I didn't know that why don't they just call it rugby? When I was growing up, they just called it rugby. When did they start adding numbers? So I definitely am hoping to spread my wings into some other sports. Obviously like Olympics are a big deal for NBC, for everyone, honestly. And so that was very fun. When the games were going on in Paris to get to watch a bunch of different sports and actually write about them. But yeah, I'm definitely hoping to kind of get involved with, and not just professional too, college sports. If there's a great high school story, I think that's a really cool part about all this for me, at least.
It is fun to jump in because I'm not reporting on different sports, but I do I'll produce pods on sports I don't really know about. And you do get to kind of come in with fresh eyes. I do find myself I'll ask a question that I'm that is so stupid,
Right,
but
right.
that will kind of reverse horseshoe theory as profound.
Yes, it unlocks some kind of, people are like, wait a second. And then it's people are weirdly willing to hold your hand through it more when you know literally nothing in a way that ultimately helps you.
So as I was prepping, once Patrick decided he didn't want it enough, I was looking through your Twitter I was just looking through. I was like, well, what's wrong? Written recently, all this stuff, and something that struck me about your Twitter is that you are one of the remaining live event sports tweeters of at least in my timeline. There are other people around, but Do you feel that? Like, do you feel you're the only live tweeter left?
First of all, when you put like in the run, like, hey, you're one of the last live tweeters, I was like I don't know the meme where it came from. It's like the faceless body holding his chest. It's like in pain. I was like, what the? I was like, why? Why did this need to be said like this? I agree that like we're a dying breed. So I will say, to me, like live tweeting was always like the people who tweet like play by play of a football game,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, well, I don't need that. I'm watching the game. Like, I don't need you to be like, there's 8 minutes and 6 seconds left,
Right.
and this team is a first down. Like I tried to have never done that in my life. I feel like I will say that I feel like I'm tweeting for 6 people, and I forget that other people can read my tweets.
That's the right way to do it. I think that's the only way.
Right? It's like I that's just like I think I've avoided most millennial things. Like I think most millennial things are like coded in a way that breaks across like maybe more you could even say racial lines and generational lines. Like I've never been like, what Harry Potter house am I in?
Right.
Sure. But maybe my most like millennial coded trait is like I am continuing to live tweet NBA games, like my reactions to NBA games as they're happening. That's probably my number one millennial trait, and that's fine. I just, other people know you're watching. Maybe they want to talk to you about this game. I like it. I'm trying to. That feels like the way to do it right now, because I don't think that app is going to exist for much longer in a way that like we like using it, and so that's what I want to do on there. Like I'm not even really interested in sharing my work on there anymore, as much as I'm like, did you see Nikola Jokic do this cool thing?
Well, it's funny. I mean, just about the trajectory of these apps. Like it Twitter in its original conception was for that. It was a rapid micro blogging platform, and then it is now essentially not for that anymore. It's for it's for like kind of
bots.
Yeah, well, I mean, right. It's like literally for like check out my bare ass on this whatever on OnlyFans. But even so, it's like perhaps this is maybe right below millennial and into Gen Z, or into maybe millennials talking about Gen Z. But there's much talk about community. Brands are like positioning themselves as communities now, or whatever. We're like a community of direct-to-consumer toothbrush users or whatever. But the everybody tweeting at the same time, watching the same thing, consuming something, kind of like using the temporal feature of Twitter actually was the closest anybody got to like a piece of human connection on the website.
1,000%, yes.
So when I first there was shock from looking at your Twitter, because I was like, Jokic.
Is it that bad?
It's not you. It's that the platform isn't used like that anymore. Like, and that's not what, like, if you were being somebody who uses a platform extremely efficiently is not a good thing. That's I think we can think of like the folks on Twitter who use it extremely efficiently, and it's bad. No, so props. I just wanted to flag that as like
so funny
as something I appreciate.
I appreciate it. Look, like you said though, it is like I feel like that was the way we kind of quote unquote grew up using it, and it's dying. But it is like, to me, that's still the most fun way to use it when everyone is using it that way at the same time.
Are you in any do you use Discord? Are you in anything like that?
I am not. I could not tell you what Discord is.
Yeah. I have to like use it for a few random projects, and every single time I use it, I am like extremely scared, both for my personal, like that I'm gonna like fuck something up in the thing, and then also sort of a larger like this is bad that this exists.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to eventually get into this Tom Haberstroh article that has like broken my brain, which is was really just a really awesome piece that got me thinking. But before that, I actually have to jump something, because I saw the full clip of the Jaylen Brown, Giannis Antetokounmpo too slow fiasco, and I am kind of feeling like people are not freaking out enough about how bizarre that interaction was.
It is one of the funniest things I've seen happen on a basketball court in the last like 5 to 10 years. Like in the middle of a game the Bucks desperately needed. And that's why I love Giannis. Like same guy no matter what. Same guy. His team is 6 games under 500, NBA Finals, winning, whatever. Loves to joke around. I agree that it is weirdly feels like it didn't catch on in the way something like this should have caught on. Did you see that Jaylen Brown, like someone posted a video of him doing his post-game interview where he's like Giannis is a kid and he was wearing like a magnet around his neck?
Oh, yes. I saw somebody, I think it was the Trill Bro dude, the good folks at the Ball Don't Stop podcast. He was like, if you look at the magnet website of that, or the website that sells that magnets, it's like it aligns your spirit in some weird way.
Which is so funny. Which is like a real like icing on the cake, like, touch to this scandal. Is this guy, he's a kid and he's wearing like a magnet around his neck. It was so good. Like
something like you would wear if you were like an 11-year-old at an AAU baseball run.
Right.
Like, yeah, these things actually help you pitch better. The only thing I do want to say about the Giannis thing, because I when I first saw the video, the original clip was just the slow interaction, and I thought it was kind of like my initial interpretation of it was like, oh, they have to be joking around. Yeah, this is funny. When I realized that it came after Giannis kind of like elbowed him, and that's where the too slow, that it was a truly and the very rare malicious high five too slow, I did start to get worried, because this happens to famous people where they lose touch of the price of milk, so to speak. Like they forget that they exist in the world. Yeah. I am concerned that Giannis has lost the plot. Like he is behaving in a way that he does not realize that other people are like, whoa, dude, that is really weird.
He is giving off a bit more eccentricity this year. Like, did you like his quote before the season that was like, who knows, if we don't win a championship, they may trade me. And it's like, come on, dude. What? No, they'll sign you to a lifetime contract tonight.
If they could, I mean? Totally.
Like, yes. They will recreate you AI hologram, new technology that hasn't been invented yet. Like they want anything that you're possibly willing to sign over to them, they would take. So the idea that he's losing touch is very funny.
Go ahead.
I will say, I do think sometimes, like, part of it is it's just like he's just like an annoying guy to play against in general, because the elbows are always flying. It's like it's so much physicality.
Plays hard, yeah.
Yes, I think guys like a little bit like they'll roll their eyes at him. It's like, this guy can't shoot, but he just scored 35 points again and like hit me in the face with his elbow 6 times. Like, yeah. So I do think sometimes like people already have like a propensity to be sick of him.
Sure.
Having said all that, there's no way I can't take his side here. Like, first of all, doing it against a Boston Celtic,
of course, sure,
great.
It's important to remember who our real enemies are.
Yes, but beyond that, someone as self-serious as Jaylen Brown, who once again wore a magnet, like a magnet around his neck, while giving the quote that Giannis is a child, is like, okay, man, it was a joke. Like, let's move on. It's really not a big deal. I struggle to not take his side fully in this situation.
I'm certainly happy. Like, I want them as mad at each other over the dumbest possible things. Like, this is a rising tide, sinks all ships situation. Like, I want them angry at each other over kind of like increasingly dumb things. And it is true, like, he couldn't have picked a better person too slow, because that's somebody who it's like,
who can't respect the art of a too slow.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Who's simply like Steph Curry, I think would have been like, that's great, that's funny.
Who was truly And so okay, well then maybe I will lower my position because when I first saw the whole thing, I was like, we need to sound the alarm. This guy is like being like, yeah, I met with Dame 6 times since I've met him. I've never been in the same room with him. I'm too slowing Jaylen Brown. I'm like, the Bucks are going. I've got Doc Rivers
Bucks,
hired.
I will say the Bucks vibes, aside from the too slow, are looking to be quite cooked. Are very close to coming out of the oven.
And specifically cooked in this sort of like geriatric way that doing a like the first prank ever invented isn't helping.
Bro, the first person to hit the too slow, they were just going around town.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's a really fire move.
Yeah, they were eating out on that one for years.
You know what's one that never ends well is pulling the chair out from somebody when not in the basketball sense, but in the kind of literal sense.
That's an escalation. That's a serious escalation. Yeah,
that exclusively my experience with that.
I was gonna say, you have a look on your face that like you really have a deep personal memory of this.
I think I did it when I was like 11, and I remember it was one of those things where if I remember this correctly, I like pulled the chair physically out on a girl. Yeah, I'm like 11, this girl, and then she just falls and like immediately starts crying, which is understandable because she fell and hurt herself. And it was one of those moments as a young man where I was like, oh, I've totally fucked this up.
That's, you know what, I don't know if it's like when you get older, you just start thinking about like all the ways you can get physically hurt. But something I'm like, I would never do again is like this is even lower rent, is like just wait in a hallway and scare someone. I'm like, it's not worth. Like, I used to do that to my grandma. I'd like wait for her to get out of the bathroom and I'd like scare her. And I'm like, I would never ever do that again. Like,
right, because you're like, they're gonna have a heart attack and die.
Yeah,
and I am going
fall, to. Yeah, and like, I'm like, why did I ever do that? Like the capacity for that to have gone wrong was so high that I'm like, I can't do it again.
God, that's a good point. So yeah, you're right, and I guess
if Giannis did it to Jaylen Brown, I'd laugh.
Yes, and much like but completely. All right, I want to now this is kind of like the main course here because so let me ask you this. Fine answer either way. Had you seen this article before I sent it to?
I'd seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense because you're part of the basketball sports Illuminati. You're on the right side of history about things. This article is not getting nearly enough credit. This is like a complete paradigm shifting genius article. I have like sent it to like 100 people.
That was so funny.
It is. I highly suggest everybody who is listening to this go look at this article. This is a Tom Haberstroh Substack piece titled "Did Chauncey Billups Just Invent the Basketball Closer?" Go ahead.
Have you seen the show Search Party?
Parts of it. No, not enough to probably get the reference.
Okay. So like in the first season, like someone goes missing, and the main character tries to find the person who went missing. And by the end of the series, it's like an apocalypse. Like,
got it. Yeah.
That's you with this article. Yeah. It's like it starts with like, I sent this article to 100 people, and 5 years from now, like there will be no drinkable water, and it'll all be because you read this story.
Well, just wait. I mean, we're gonna get into. I threw out some pretty crazy ideas inspired by this article that are close to that. The article is called "Did Chauncey Billups Just Invent the Basketball Closer?" by Tom Haberstroh, does great work. I really like his Substack. Always has kind of like interesting angles.
Yes,
like he's always
slants,
yeah. This piece was looking at in kind of the theater of small sample size, some really early Dalano Banton numbers, and he did find a bizarre quirk, which is that Dalano Banton had pretty much only, aside from 2 points, I believe, only scored in the fourth quarter through, 6-7 out games. And then it was actually like, oh, he's actually only played in the fourth quarter, other than maybe a few minutes in the third one game or something. And Tom is putting forth this idea again with relatively small sample size, but not nothing. Of is Chauncey Billups using Banton as a closer, like baseball? Like, is he just having him play in the fourth quarter? And kind of outlines, I think, a helpful note, which is that in the actual closer in baseball is only 70 some odd years old, as a stat that people kept, and so it's basically these kind of paradigm shifting events do happen. We are in the infancy relatively of like innovation that could conceivably happen in basketball. The forward pass happened in the middle of football. Like these things do happen. And do I think he has just discovered a complete paradigm shifting thing that is going to change everything? No, but actually maybe. But I do actually think that it is a really fun and really interesting kind of thought exercise around basketball. And so I want to get into it more, but what were your initial thoughts reading this article?
It's very funny. It's first of all, shout out to Tom because it was a great idea. It was just a really good idea and a really funny thing he noticed. I want to see it. I want to see a team other than the Portland Trailblazers do it. Let me put it that. That's the level of intrigue I have. I'm like, I want to see a team do it. And it's like, sometimes you watch like an overtime game and it's like for some reasons like coaches never substitute in overtime.
Yes.
And like part of it is just like I get it. Typically your best 5 players are playing at the end of the fourth quarter. Why are you going to take one of them out?
Right.
But you can just tell it's like, oh, if one of these teams had a guy in here who wasn't tired, they'd win this game.
Completely.
So I'm behind the logic. It's like, let's get someone in there who's incredibly fresh. My thing is, it's like, I think to take this a step further, that player needs to have like a skill, like a really like back in the heyday of closers. It's like we're bringing a guy who throws 102 miles per hour,
right?
Or he is one unhittable pitch,
right?
Like it's Mariano Rivera. He's throwing a cutter every time. You can't hit it. Was the Yankees who had a guy who's like, I just threw 50 changeups in a row.
Right.
And I'm like,
I'm sure.
And I'm like. And then I was like, can it even be considered a changeup if it's the only pitch you throw? Like it's not.
That's just a mad
just
slow fastball.
Yeah, it's just a pitch. It's not even a changeup. So I feel like what the NBA needs, I think, is it's like what is the definable trait that makes this player a closer? But once we can like narrow that down, now I think we're cooking with gas a little bit.
And I was trying to think about that kind of thing too, because I agree with you, and Haberstroh puts forth this idea that Banton could have the physical profile of a good fourth quarter specialist closer, so to speak, because like he's long and he runs and he gets out in transition, and these are the kind of things that if you are a step slow because you are fatigued, like you're going to lose track of him, not be able to cut an angle off in a good way. And so that does make sense. Whereas I was kind of like, I was trying to think through like who would be a bad closer. Somebody that comes to mind that I initially was like, oh, would this be a good closer? And then I switched is a guy like Russell Westbrook, because his genius is sort of such that he has genius is his tenacity over a long stretch of time.
Yes.
On an individual possession, it's actually not.
It's too much of a wild card.
Exactly, right. Yeah. He's going to take the same shot. He's going to take a 12-footer and miss it or make it at the same time. You want somebody who can exploit shaky defenses and basically get a dunk every single time.
Yes.
And Banton kind of possibly approached that. As I started kind of, I don't think a spot-up shooter would work, because I think that it's one of the it kind of creates the same problem.
Stationary doesn't help you.
Maybe if somebody's like sprinting around like JJ Redick or Buddy Hield could conceivably do it, but I do actually think the zone that makes the most sense to me is this sort of 3-4 like Jonathan Kuminga, Banton, somebody.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree, but I almost want that person to be bigger. Like,
I had a thought around this too. So
what if
keep
Zach
going.
Edey was a closer? Like
I had this thought.
because
Yes.
all of a sudden now you're like, wait, this game's completely different. We haven't been defending someone in the post this whole time. Now he brings kind of his own like defensive issues, slow-footed, da da da. But it's like, what if you just brought in someone who's like, we're completely changing how you have to play this game right now.
This is so stupid, but the guy who I keep coming back to as like would have been a great closer is Tyrus Thomas, the
That's
old
so funny.
kind of like springy power forward, because just somebody who like crashes
he was
the
ahead of
board.
his time. He'd like play the 5 today and be good.
Right. But and even somebody like but who's the guy who's probably still in the league but just gets offensive rebounds and dates Kardashians. What's his name?
Chris Humphries?
No, close.
Blake Griffin?
Go one more. Cavs center.
Tristan Thompson?
Yes, Tristan Thompson is a good example. Somebody that if they're just going 100% all game, all quarter, and if you miss one block out because you're tired,
Right.
you're losing 2 points. Like I really there's so little innovation of that kind in the NBA and so much innovation everywhere else. You know, they're like they're like hiring calculus majors to shoot 7,000
threes.
threes.
The entire game's played on a TI-83. Yeah.
Right. They're saying shot diet, like all these other things that people are, these innovations where they're like, if we can generate a kind of energetic flow such that Peyton Pritchard shoots a quarter of a foot closer to the basket, that will win us 16 games. Like, but they don't do anything around minutes. I
wish it were possible. Like this player doesn't exist, and if they did, you'd play them the whole game. But like in my dream closer scenario, it's like that person's Al Jefferson.
Yes. Wow,
And
we had
like
really similar guys.
It's like they can post up anybody. That person would need to be a little bit better at defense, but the idea that like you can bring in someone who's just going to throw a wrench into how the game is. Like, I mean, teams do that in like the second quarter all the time.
Right.
It's like we have this weird backup who like 8 out of 10 nights is a matchup problem for us, like a bad matchup for us. But 2 nights you have no one to guard them, and all of a sudden it's like, hold on, this team has no idea what to do with this person. Like, that's what I want.
I agree. So I also just got, as you can tell, really excited about the kind of free thinking, new agey component to all of this, right? This is kind of like my magnet necklace is around all of this. So I threw together a list of some other new agey free thinking style things, and this is the IDW mega based free thinking market inefficiency dark money teal funded Web3 hyper corner. where
Great, let's dive in. Let's dive all the way in. Yeah,
where I've got a few, and one of the first that actually relate to this goes hand in hand, I think, with the fourth quarter closer is I'm gonna go big and then I'm gonna get really specific, which is layup lines are insane. Complete waste of time. I know this has maybe been debunked by LeBron himself, but like this, LeBron spends $1 million on his body every year. You know, he's like cryogenically freezing his legs after games. All this stuff, millions of dollars is put into making sure these athletes are healthy. And then what they do right before the game is the same thing they were doing when they were 7. It's like crazy to me. They should be being submerged in like a goo of some kind of like perfectly temperatured goo that creates blood flow and like shaken around or whatever, and then taken out and then put on the court. Like, it shouldn't be layup lines.
Listen, it's hard to argue. It's really hard. It really is one of those, like, it's like if you tried to make if you tried to get the government to make public libraries now, there's no way you could justify it. I mean, like, you and I could, but there's no way
I get what you're saying. They'd be like, well, but where would we put the highways?
Exactly, yeah. You know, they got to get loose. Listen, they got to get loose. A lot of them are doing weird stretches now. A lot of them are just doing stretches you've never even heard of. a lot of like activating muscles you never heard of before. This
like
is a
that,
big pet
yeah.
peeve of mine,
Yep.
which is like, and this is in the other direction of what you're saying, but I also don't like it. So maybe I am pro layup line, is what I'm saying. But
Okay.
like, they're like Chet Holmgren has a right iliac wing fracture,
Right.
and like you're making up body parts.
Right.
There used to be neck, back, hip, knee, hand. Now it's like metacarpal, pneumothorax, iliac. Stop. Let's get back to layup lines. Is what I'm saying.
It is funny. It's true. There's like increasingly specific and insane ways to say that somebody's out. Except the kind of debate around whether or not they should be playing has maintained a level of stupid. Like,
Yes.
It's like, yeah, their left metacarpal is like pulled at a 15-degree angle, but the reason they're not playing is because they don't want it enough.
yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, this guy hurt a literal like human wing. Like,
Yeah.
You're like, put on some weight.
Yeah, shouldn't be doing so many fucking podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay. The second one, which is this would solve the
I will say I like the goo idea. Maybe we do goo before the layup line.
submerge them in goo, pull them out.
Yeah.
One of my friends was telling me about that he watched last year's Northwestern basketball team play UConn, and he gave me this anecdote in the
Why?
March Madness. No, this was the March Madness game that they lost.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry. It was a big game, kind of. And what he said was everybody, the Northwestern basketball team started from minute 30, like the moment they got on the court, they did layup lines. And all they did was layup lines for the entire 30 minutes, which he went through this kind of emotional journey where he was like, this is so stupid. But then they were getting like increasingly faster layup lines. I guess that was the deal. And then he was kind of like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe they're ramping up to game speed. Like at least they are doing something innovative. It's not goo, but Northwestern AD doesn't have money for goo. Then they get on the court and just immediately are too tired to compete with UConn because they've been sprinting, doing layups the whole game and get blown out instantly. So I guess good on them for trying, but didn't quite work.
That sounds like Northwestern basketball to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Shots of Julia Louis-Dreyfus and being a little...
they really loved that one.
Did you go to Northwestern?
I did, but we try to keep that under wraps. Try to keep that on the down low.
I got this because we can't even talk about this on air, but I have a bone to pick with all the fucking improv groups at Northwestern. Too many. Wait.
Get in line. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, But do
you have a?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Do you have anything in between layup lines and goo, or is it straight to goo?
I guess kind of maybe what's already happening a little bit, which is like you should work on whatever. Everybody should have their own specific thing that they do. You know?
I am curious, and look, they have sports scientists. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't warm up, but what if you were like literally just not doing anything until the game started?
That doesn't pass the smell test for me. Like, I feel like, well, let me put it this way. I play in a Tuesday men's run. I am significantly better when I warm up. So
okay.
I got to get limber. Sometimes I'm like I'm on too many Zoom calls. I can't get as quite as limber as I want. So I believe in warming up as a concept, but honestly, because this is the IDW Free Thinking Teal Web3 Hyper Corner, I appreciate you even checking that.
Because, but I mean, just how warm is too warm? What's the right temperature is what I'm saying. What if you only need 8 minutes?
Totally. So a cousin of the warming up that's also, I look at this as like, what is the NBA doing? Is, again, important. Millions of dollars is spent into like safely transporting these athletes. They're flying private jets. They're getting massages, all of this stuff. And then for 3 hours a day, they sit on the bench that is the tiniest, least comfortable, fucked up little bench.
Unless you're like, you have to have, made such an impact on the game of basketball a Phil Jackson, LeBron James level of impact for you to maybe get an extra cushion.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes they will like give you a little back brace, but I'm just like, why not completely change the bench situation?
So I think that's a good. It's shocking that no one's come to me with this take before. I think you're 100% right. Now the only issue I think there is you don't want them to get too comfortable. Like you can't put them in a lazy boy. You know what I mean? It's like you can't have an ottoman because then like you're not getting up. You ever tried getting up? You know,
that's a very interesting point. I honestly had not thought about that.
Yes, I definitely think they could use. There needs to be some kind of medium between too comfortable and what they got, which is like just terrible.
Well, and here's where the closer. This is where we get idea synergy. Imagine this. Let's say Delano Banton ends up being like a Mariano Rivera style closer. Okay, he's on the Portland Trailblazers. They've ridden this kind of Moneyball style thing. They're like 53-12. They're playing in an important game that's about to kind of decide if they're 4th or 5th in the West. It's 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and Banton gets up from his kind of goo submersion thing and goes to an elevated stationary bike. And the whole crowd knows that he hasn't, and he's ramping up.
He's in like section 220. Yeah.
And exactly, like more like levitating. He's like in a stationary bike, and it's like, Banton! And he's like warming up so he can get the heart rate up for the fourth quarter, which is really when the start of the game starts. Camera, WWE does this really well. Camera of the practice gym of Banton doing layup lines alone in the practice gym.
Right, he's like in a secret gym in the bowels of the arena.
The Banton
the lights
cam.
go off during a timeout, and it's like just all you see on the big screen. It's projected on the court.
Dude, yes. So those are my thoughts.
Okay.
I got another. Eventually, these are going to come back to earth, but this is another pretty insane one that my brother gave me that I want to run by you. Switching sports now. You're a multi-sport reporter now. You got to be able to be agile about this. Baseball. Nobody's on base. The catcher should just play in the outfield.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. The catcher should just be allowed to go wherever they want.
Yeah. Or second shortstop, whatever.
Or like right next to the pitcher. Like,
just like whispering in his ear.
Yeah.
Obviously this creates some problems for the umpire because he's going to get drilled every pitch. But that's okay.
I mean, once we have robot umps, it doesn't matter.
That's exactly. This could kind of usher in a robot ump. So the catcher, he gets up, you get an extra man in the field. Maybe the pitcher knows that and just he kind of instantly pivots to being a ground ball pitcher. So it'll be like, there's like, you pitch out of the stretch or whatever. So they'll be like pitching out of the stretch, your regular, and then your no catcher throw.
Right.
Where you are like pitching more ground balls. So that's a free one. I have a few more. Do you have any that are not on my big list that you want to talk about before I kind of run through a few more?
I think I have a new idea for baseball, which is that instead of a batting lineup, each batter should be assigned a number of outs in a game. So, like Shohei Ohtani gets 4 outs.
Oh, like lives.
Yes.
Like Super Smash Bros. Lives.
Yes. And you can have him bat 4 times in a row in the first inning if you want.
This is an amazing idea.
But if he's done, he's done.
Right.
So is there a cap? What's that?
Could Ohtani bat 12 times, or do you think
no? You got to cap it at like 4 outs.
Okay.
You know? So, he can bat 12 times if he never gets out.
Oh, so wow.
So, but you got to strategize because you theoretically you want him to come up in the highest leverage inning. But this way, it's like there's nothing worse when it's a close baseball game, but it's like the ninth inning and the 7, 8, 9 guys are coming up,
Right.
and it's like, no, we saved an out for Ohtani, so he's coming up.
That is really interesting, and this also helps out some other thing with baseball, which is that like I have no idea about what a baseball manager is doing ever and can't
Right,
speak
exactly.
to it.
They're
But
they're looking at a spreadsheet and just makes all the decisions for them.
But if I'm like, you got to throw, you got to leave. It's like when I'm like, you got to be able to call a timeout at halftime in a football game or before
Right.
halftime or so. So you can it opens the one of baseball's in trouble. One of the most helpful sports growth mechanisms is dumbass analysis.
Yeah.
So this opens up a lot more dumbass analysis. Okay, I love that. Here, speaking of some more dumbass ones. Back to basketball. When you are guarding a non-shooter, like that one time the Warriors put Andrew Bogut on Tony Allen. They do it with Russ, whatever, a few times. Instead of doing that, cherry pick. One guy, cherry pick. And they play 4-on-5. And
This is a Vivek Ranadive strategy.
Did he try this?
He said, "Why don't we cherry pick?"
Fuck, dude, that's awesome. I'm glad I'm aligned with one of the smartest team builders.
My dude, he's making it so hard for other Indian people who dream to own a. No, that's not true. They got the beam. They're in the playoffs now.
Yeah, they're doing okay now.
We're back. We're back.
Okay, and so, but he hasn't tried it. That's interesting. Kind of seems like he hasn't gone far enough.
No, they haven't.
Okay, this is a really good one. A team is up by a lot. You're the home team. This is in the zeitgeist because the Intuit Dome is everybody's like, oh, they're shooting free throws and the people are missing and the fans. This is great. Say you're the Clippers, Intuit Dome. The Warriors are on a 7-0 run, right? The type of thing you'd call a timeout. Maybe you do call a timeout, maybe you don't. The stadium should play lo-fi beats to relax and chill to. Like to zen out to like neuter the other team's aggression. They should like blast lo-fi beats to get everybody in like a vibe of chill.
It should turn into like a gentrifying coffee shop.
Yes. Rip the Palo Santo.
Like snake plants.
Yes.
The board with like the letters, like the board with the letters. It's like
yes.
Cut out individual letters,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
They bring in
handing out cortados.
Nicholas Braun's there, yeah. Just,
yeah.
asking people.
Yeah, it should all of a sudden turn into a gentrified coffee shop.
Okay, that's a good. I mean that obviously taking it to the next levels is good, but there's what they're doing in the games. My brother just told me, and this is true. The Warriors still play the instrumental for "Beat the Pussy Up." This year, it is this year, and 2 times a game the Warriors play the instrumental of the song that came out 16 years ago, and it's called "Beat the Pussy Up." So it's like we gotta update.
Well, yeah, he definitely yelled at me, got my attention, said, "One more rebound." I was like, "What?" He was like, "One more." So I got one more, and I pointed at him to acknowledge that I was listening. Okay,
the powers that be have tried to silence Rohan.
Right, we were too hot. We were reaching. People knew what
I got too close to the truth. I am now experiencing Havana syndrome style symptoms. I have a ringing in my ear. No, because we're getting too close to the truth. Which is that they should play lo-fi beats at basketball games. I have one final one for you. And this one, no, I have 2. This is more for how do we grow the game? People are worried about the ratings. People are concerned. I have 2 solutions. One, this would pretty much only work in arenas in major urban areas where you could like be loitering around the area.
Mm-hmm.
Prorated tickets at halftime. You should be able to pay like $6 to watch the second half of a Nets game.
I guess you could argue that maybe exists on some level, like when people drop their StubHub prices.
Right. But it's like online. I want it to be like a vibe, like, or even like scalping.
Yeah, but just sell a pass.
Right.
Like there's a second half standing room. All these arenas have like open concourses now. We'll say you have $10. You come in, you watch the second half from this bar area. I don't hate it.
Thank you. And it's like you go to these Nets games and half of the arena is empty. Everybody would benefit from it being like whatever, except for, I guess whatever profit margin you'd be able to squeeze out. Which I love profit margins. Okay, next one. This is in the news recently because it's kind of perpetually sort of in the news, but in a way that nobody really cares because nobody in the NBA is going to have a real frank conversation about gambling, but they're down to have kind of mimetic little ones. But it's the players don't like that people are like DMing them mean stuff about parlays. They don't like, whatever. LeBron just said something today or yesterday about he got a rebound and somebody was yelling at him, and LeBron took actually a different approach, which was like, haha, I grabbed the rebound and I thanked him or whatever. But the point is they're thinking about it. And there's this disconnect, right? Because players think it's mad annoying.
Kevin Durant famously tweeting about it today even.
Yes.
In response to people posting him on the LeBron tweet, yes.
I am a bridge builder. I want to kind of like get people on both sides. And I think the problem here is that the average NBA player does not, and I mean this kind of genuinely, doesn't realize how fun it is to gamble $10 on a basketball game. They because they don't need to, because they are playing them in them. If they understood, because if you're an NBA player and you've never gambled $10 on like a Tyrese Maxey steals over, you are like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, this is the stupidest thing in the world. Why are they doing this? And that it's almost like in the same way that it can be really hard to explain to somebody what being high on weed feels like. If you're just on the other side of the vice continuum, it can be just difficult to communicate across that. So, NBA players should be allowed to gamble. Highly regulated, like you put your name in, it's all public. They get a gambling, they have per diems right now, maybe they get a parlay diem, where every month they get like $150 of untaxed revenue from the CBA to gamble on games that they're not a part of. So they can gamble on other NBA games, and maybe all the money at the end goes to charity and they get to just see whatever who won all the money. But like, I need NBA players to gamble so they have empathy for what it feels like to lose a parlay, and that will help. I actually, obviously this is never going to happen, but I actually do feel like if they understood how like fleeting and silly the frustration is of losing a parlay, they would then, when somebody yells at them, they'd be like, oh, you're not mad at me. You're mad at that you lost this parlay, which is understandable because I'm, whatever.
Here's where I think this idea runs into a problem, is I reject the premise that these people aren't gambling a lot. Now, they might not necessarily be making parlay or betting on basketball, but like, these people are gambling money all the time. Like,
that's I did not think about that.
Mostly how they pass the time. Apparently,
they're gambling on airplanes.
Exactly, it's gambling on airplanes. So,
fuck.
Also, it's like Jonte Porter did exist. The idea that like no one's tried to place a bet on a Maxey steals over. I don't know. I really don't know. I genuinely don't. But I like the idea of making them bet publicly. I like put it up on like the Jumbotron, like Intuit Dome. We're back at the Intuit Dome. They got the Halo board, and it's like, these are LeBron's bets of the day. I do like that idea.
Well, we're gonna get that. The LeBron bets at the moment he retires, we're getting the LeBron fucking clutch parlay.
I mean, I think he's already working with DraftKings. Like, it's coming. But yes, I definitely like the idea of like having them do some public bets. I don't know that they would necessarily start empathizing, but we would.
Could be a step.
Yes, it could be. Yes, it could be a step. It could be a step.
So, okay, I did not think about the fact that they already gamble, which is, again, an excellent point. In fact, I am now reminding an anecdote that an NBA player told me once when I was working on a podcast, which is that their per diem, many of these people, I don't know if it's still this way, but they used to receive their per diems in cash.
Yeah, just in a cash envelope.
And just immediately gamble it.
Yeah.
They probably already are gambling their per diems immediately just on like Blu-ray games on airplanes. That's what it seems like happens. So, okay. But they don't get to do the, like, Cousin Sal.
It's not the same, yeah. It's not the same as it's definitely not the same as a parlay. It's definitely not the same as you just need this one thing to go right. You need this one person to not fuck it up. And that's a special kind of like gambling.
Maddening frustration. Yeah. Okay, so great. Then I'm kind of like, if the mainstream media stops trying to assassinate you and I and instead take some of our ideas, I think there's a possible angle for a lot of growth here. I want to close by taking advantage of the fact that Patrick isn't here, the checks and balances are not here, and we can kind of go full Warriors mode, and it's actually also kind of earned because the Warriors are good. The surprise of the year, I would say, right? Like probably the most surprising. Maybe the Cavs being 11-0 is a more important surprise, but second in offense, fourth in defense, or fourth in defense, second in offense, like they're fucking good.
Yeah.
What's your kind of as you survey the league and you're less close to it? Well, you're probably more close in knowledge base, but less close in fandom to the Warriors. What are you seeing?
Well, first of all, I thought they actually had a good offseason. Like Kyle Anderson's a useful player. Like Buddy Hield is obviously not Klay Thompson, but can approach what Klay Thompson's given you in the last year and a half, which is a lot of shooting. And like, if Klay, even in his diminished state, was a better defender and a more respected one, bigger, etc. But I have this is a complete tangent. I have this theory that like sometimes bad defenders are bad just because players make it a point to score on them.
Like I completely agree.
In a way that they don't like when like someone better is going up against them, but they're like, I'm gonna be selfish and go 1-on-1, and I'll score. But like you could probably do this more often. You just don't. But
wait, so who would be an example of that? Because I agree. I genuinely do believe, moving outside of my IDW takes, that the way we collectively like think about and analyze individual defense is wrong. It's not looking at kind of all the right
Buddy
stuff.
Hield is an example of a guy that you will ask into a switch, and guys will go after him all the time, and
because he has a rep of being a bad
defender. And like because it's like being singled out, you notice it,
right?
And you're like, that's a bad defender, but like. Obviously, I'm not saying you did the same success if you did that one-on-one against Kawhi every time, but if, Kawhi, for example, in his prime was like, I'm going after Terrence Mann on every possession, it would probably end up looking much more the same than different.
Right.
Yeah. So, I just think that, like, it's more like a pet thing where it's like, sometimes you'll take a crazy contested shot against a bad defender that goes in that you'd never even consider taking against a good one.
Right.
Because you're like, I got a bad defender on me. I got to shoot. And I think that's goosing the numbers a little bit.
The kind of cousin of this is the other problem with the Klay defense, because Klay's defense obviously drastically slipped after he fucking blew all of his ligaments out, which is extremely understandable, blah, blah, blah. But it did have this weird effect where I sense that Warriors teammates were reacting to the old Klay. Like they were expecting Klay to be able to cut off a baseline drive, but he wasn't because, and it was messing up our defense where we were expecting a good defender but receiving a bad defender. And that shock actually was worse than just like if we had a bad defender out there. Right. And not that I'm not that specific thing is being proven true, but we replaced his defensive prowess with Buddy Hield, who is not a great defender, and we're a top 5 defense. So it's yeah.
First of all, Draymond still not respected as a defender. Everyone handed Wemby the Defensive Player of the Year trophy. Draymond clearly was waiting for his moment to be don't forget about Dre, and I respect it. He's been a hater this year. When he was the Thunder laugh around too much, all that barking shit. Guess what? 100% agree.
Wow.
I was yes. I was I agree. I was you guys are unserious. Jalen Williams was barking during a playoff game last year, and I'm no, you're dumb. Second round exit. I don't buy it. So I'm with Draymond there 100%. Listen, Steph is still that guy.
Yeah.
Steph is still that guy. I think that they had this just this clay albatross hanging around their necks last year. It was such an uncomfortable situation. I think people got really tired of that. They never figured out what to do with Kuminga and Wiggins and splitting them up. And it sucks that Kuminga drew the short end of the stick going to the bench, but I think Kerr has got his finger on the pulse. They're playing 12 guys a night, but it's working. I also think that the Nuggets look incredible. But the issues we have with the Nuggets, just because Jokic is playing out of his freaking mind right now,
right,
have not gone away. Teams will ignore Christian Brown on the 3-point line. They will ignore Peyton Watson when it comes to playoff time. I think that there's a vacuum in the West. I think that, the Thunder have the potential to be that great team, but now Chet's hurt.
Yeah.
They're a younger team. Draymond's already pissed at them, so he's going to play every game against them it's 2016 OKC. I tweeted the other night, kind of as a joke, Warriors are going to the finals, but it wouldn't shock me. Who's great in the West?
Yeah. It's only, no, I'm scared of a few teams, but no, I agree with you that we've got, I have much more faith in the Warriors now. And also just in the possibility of a trade that whatever, maybe a too slow, maybe a tall Greek man with an excellent sense of humor might come over. The two things that resonated about what you're saying is the Kuminga thing is interesting because it's a great example of how it can be really hard to if there are no punishments or no accountability, it can be hard to get a player to play in the way that you believe he should be playing, especially if it goes against his possible ability to earn fucking money, right? It's in Kuminga's best interest to
be selfish,
be selfish, take 20 shots a game, whatever. Whereas the team was hey, it would really help us get to the next level if you did this, acted like Sean Marion or whatever. For better or for worse, big picture, probably for worse for Kuminga, but for better for the team, Kerr can now actually just be oh, okay, you're not going to box out and run the floor, you're benched. Wiggins is going to take your minutes. And that accountability for Kuminga has, I think, puts him in a position where he almost has to play the right way. Yeah. Which is interesting because he's always been one of those guys who has all the skills, but just not the exact.
Right. And I will say, I don't even think he's ever played the wrong way as much as it's they needed him to be that guy, but then the lineups weren't helping him. And now they've kind of found a mix that unfortunately for him requires him to do other stuff. I was thinking for what it's worth, he's bought in, he's playing well, but it's if he was on a shitty team, they'd be Cook.
Right.
And he'd probably do a decent job, but that's just not the team he's on.
No, I agree with you. I
don't
agree.
Even really let Steph cook like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Completely. I agree with you that I think Kuminga was plucked out of the G League and was instantly we need you to play this nuanced sort of do everything veteran all-star role player style role, and he wasn't able to. And hey, guess what? Most people can't do that.
Right.
It took Andre Iguodala 13 years of getting his ass beat before he figured out that that's what he was going to do. It's just so Kuminga failed to do what the Warriors were asking him to do, but the Warriors were asking him to do this really difficult thing.
Yes.
So I see both sides. Like I think he's got, and I think you're right. I think he can buy it. I was a little nervous when he moved to the bench and just immediately I think he went like 1 for 7 his first game on the bench, but he's since responded. So I'm optimistic.
I like their chances as good as anybody in the West. Let me put it that way. You know what I mean?
What are we, 7-2, 8-2? That's no joke. That's at first when we were 5-0 and we beat like the Portland Trailblazers in the dilapidated Pelicans twice. That wasn't much, but we have now beat real teams. Like this is now a sample size. So, yeah. Well, okay. Before we get you out of here, do you have any kind of takes about the early season you want to get off?
I mean, I have the Knicks on deep fraud watch.
Oh wow, I like that.
You know, they cannot play defense, and it's like Mitchell Robinson's going to save your season. We'll see.
Right.
They played like 3 guys 40 minutes the other night. Like they played like a 6 or 7 guy rotation, and it's like it's game 9. And I'm like, this is so classic Tibbs, and they still lost. And I get that they have injuries, but I'm watching you, Knicks. I just think I mean, I'm a hater. I'm biased. Let me say out front, I'm biased. But it's like, they're like, this is a new golden age of Knicks basketball. Like, the city is alive again. Like, it's a post-racial harmony when the Knicks are good. Like, you know, like, it's like the world makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, cinema's back and it's like 2 second-round exits.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, all right, this is what we make fun of Joel Embiid for. Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
I do like that. I also you're totally right. The Mikal Bridges like playing 42 minutes, having a weirdly like a -11 in a win in a win, and then just like checking Twitter afterwards, and everybody's like, "Fuck this guy!" Like it's like what a tough life for my guy. Well, all right. Rohan, thank you for coming on. Nothing but respect. Do you have anything to plug? Any obviously
Maybe
go
just catch my live tweets during the game. You know, maybe I'll see you on there. I'll catch you during the next Jokic heater. You know,
it's true. Read Rohan where you can on NBC Sports, but also on Twitter.com as it's all happening. So, Rohan, thank you for coming on.
Anytime, dude.
All right. Hell yeah.